Welcome to Community Beat, a new video series created by Coldwell Banker Islands Realty. In this series, we will interview people and local businesses to learn more about the area of Lake Champlain in northwestern Vermont. My name is Annie Mora, and I'm here with Ron Hackett, who owns Hackett's Orchard in South Hero, and we're here to learn more about your small business. So Ron, if you could just start by giving a brief history of the orchard.
Glad to. It's been an orchard since the year 1900, and we happen to be the fourth owner of the orchard over the years. Celia and I purchased the orchard in 1967 from Raymond and Millie Larrow, who owned it. They purchased the orchard in 42, so they owned it some 25 years. We've been here since 1967. So this coming year, 2019, I think will make the 53rd year that we have been in business. The original orchard is, I believe, from 1900 when it was set out until we came here in 1967, consisted of approximately 5 acres of trees. And since 1967, and we're still expanding now, we now have roughly 14 acres of trees. And we've added many other things to the sales area also in that time frame.
Why did you decide to start the orchard as a business?
Well, that's kind of a long story, and it's kind of happen chance, really. At the time, prior to coming here in 67, in 1960, we purchased our first house in Essex Junction. And we lived there until 67. Both Celia and I were born and brought up in the Northeast Kingdom on open land. My dad had several farms, and I was kind of cooped in on a little tiny postage-sized lot in Essex Junction. And I guess we wanted some elbow room. We didn't necessarily start looking for an apple orchard, but the open land that we found had an apple orchard on it, and we purchased it, not knowing what we were getting into at the time, and it's been great. Yeah.
And now, over the years, it's become a family business.
Most definitely. We have 3 or 4 generations helping us, counting grandkids now. And we have one daughter that's with us full-time for 4 months of the year. We have a grandson that lives on the property, and I couldn't run it now without him. And of course, South Hero, as far as growing apples, most apple varieties that we grow require a relatively long growing season, from last frost in the spring till first frost in the fall. And the islands, being low elevation and close to the lake, have one of the longest growing seasons in the state, really. It's kind of, some people call it the banana belt of Vermont. So if you're going to grow apples, this is a place to do it. We have the climate, we have the soil, and all of those add up to being the right spot.
And do you have a lot of people who come back every year just to get the apples from South Hero?
We've been lucky that the answer to that is yes. We have a lot of customers that first, second, third generation have been coming here since we've been here.
This wasn't your first career?
No, it's kind of our second career. My second is longer than the first. Way back in 1956, I started work for what was then New England Telephone. Started in the line crew. After the first year, I had a couple of years of engineering in college, so I went into outside plant engineering, where I stayed for the rest of my career. And stayed there until 1986. So I retired in 86 when I was 50 with 30 years service. And of course we had already purchased the orchard 19 years. We had the orchard for 19 years while I was still working for the phone company. And then in 86, when I retired, I was here full-time. So since then we have made numerous additions to the size of the orchard and the sales room and the things that we sell and things like that. So yes, this is my second career.
And what do you enjoy most about being out here in South Hero?
Well, I can answer that two ways. What I enjoy most about the orchard is, number one, I like to be outdoors. I'm an outdoor person. I love it outdoors. And I like to, and Celia is an expert gardener, and she loves it outdoors, gardening. And I just can't wait for spring to come, for things to start growing again. The apple trees to bud and bloom and new little apples growing. And as far as South Hero is concerned, it's an absolute wonderful community to live in. It's the people, the schools, the organizations, the churches, the new library going in down street. It's a nice community.
And you mentioned you do a lot of school trips and the Easter egg hunt that you put on.
Those two things, we've been doing school tours for more than 35 years. And schools come in not just from the islands, but we get schools from St. Albans, Franklin County, Milton schools, as far away as Johnson. We have about 30 different schools that come every year. The younger students we use, which will be first grade, kindergarten, and preschools. Some 3,000 kids come through here every year.
That's amazing. And that must be really fun to have all those kids here running around.
It is. It's the best advertising that we do for new customers, because we've been here long enough, so we have grandmothers that come now, and they came here as school kids. So that's good.
It's a family tradition, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So coming up in April, you mentioned you're doing the talk at the Historical Society.
Yes, the Historical Society, which is very active here in town, and they've done a lot down at the museum. They have meetings, I think, monthly, most of the year, and schedule different activities. And they asked us some time ago if for the April meeting, which I think is April 2nd, it's on a Friday, the first Friday in April, if we would talk about the history of Hackett's Orchard at that meeting. So we're trying right now to put that together, to have it for them.
So that would be a good community event if people wanted to go and learn more. Well, thank you very much for sitting down with me today.
Well, thanks for coming. I really appreciate it.